Welcome to Fresh Talk Network.
Hi, and welcome back. This is where we dig into the sources, pull out the key stuff, basically give you what you need to be properly informed. And today, wow, we've got a really fascinating journey lined up. We're going to be looking into the very beginnings of someone whose name is just, well, it's everywhere now, isn't it? Elon Musk. Yeah, so our mission today is pretty straightforward, but also kind of deep. We're exploring Elon Musk, genesis of an innovator. We want to unpack those earliest chapters, his childhood in South Africa, family background, those first little steps into tech and business. We've gone through excerpts about these early years, trying to see how these, small beginnings really built the foundation for the global figure he is today. It's like peeling back the layers, finding the source code, if you will.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how often those early years are like a Rosetta Stone for understanding what comes later, especially for innovators, right? These experiences aren't just footnotes. They often show the seeds, the patterns, the drives that define everything later on. So yeah, we're looking for those early signals today, those things that help make him who he is.
Okay, so let's start there. Let's set the scene. South Africa, Musk's childhood. Our sources talk about his family, the general environment there. What kind of picture do they paint? What elements might have been, influential?
Well, South Africa back then was, as you say, a unique place, definitely complex. It wasn't just about the location, it was the whole social, cultural landscape. Specific challenges, opportunities. Our sources hint that maybe this environment fostered a certain self-reliance, or maybe a bigger perspective, perhaps even a drive to get past limitations he saw around him.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and for a kid with a curious mind, like he clearly had, that kind of backdrop could easily sharpen a knack for problem solving, or maybe a desire for, global connection, which wasn't easy back then. It's often about those subtle things you absorb from your surroundings, isn't it? They really shape how you see the world.
Absolutely. It's not just school, it's everything around you. And speaking of that curious mind, the sources are really clear on this. An early, deep fascination with technology. What jumped out at you about that? Because lots of kids have hobbies, right?
Yeah.
Was there something in how he engaged with tech that suggested, this was serious?
Yeah, that's a key point from the sources. This wasn't just a passing thing. What seems really significant is this, innate pull towards understanding and manipulating technology, not just using it.
Right, not just consuming.
Exactly. It points to a mind that naturally thinks in terms of systems, logic, how things are built. This kind of early deep dive, it often signals a particular way of thinking. Someone who has to take things apart, see how they work, and then think, okay, what else is possible?
The builder instinct.
Precisely. The difference between just being a user and being a designer, a builder, maybe even an architect. So it wasn't just curiosity. It feels more like a fundamental drive.
And that drive led to something pretty incredible, which our sources highlight next. We're talking about a kid, barely a teenager, who didn't just tinker, he created. And then he sold it. At 12 years old, Elon Musk programs and sells his first video game. Now, the sources don't give us every single detail, the game's name, how exactly he sold it, stuff like that, but just the act itself. Think about that. A 12-year-old mastering programming, which wasn't exactly point and click back then, and then seeing it as something with commercial value and acting on it. Wow.
It really is remarkable, isn't it? That moment, creating and selling a game so young, it's like a snapshot of his future potential. You see the tech skill, obviously, but you also see that budding entrepreneurial spirit right alongside it.
It's a combination, yeah.
That's the key takeaway, I think. The fusion of technical ability and early business sense. He didn't just build it for fun, though I'm sure that was part of it. He saw its value, found a way to market it, basically.
Right.
That's not typical for a 12-year-old at all. It suggests he was already connecting the dots. Idea, development, real-world application, even monetization.
Like a mini product cycle.
Exactly. Experiencing that whole process, concept to cash, however small, that's a pattern you see again and again later, just on a much, much bigger scale. It's a really strong signal of a mind thinking about how to and for who, not just what if.
Okay, so from selling a game locally, the scale of his ambition clearly expands. The next big step our sources focus on is his decision to leave South Africa. Head for North America. This feels like a major turning point, right? Not just moving house, but a real deliberate shift.
Definitely a pivotal moment.
And the reasons. The sources point to this deep hunger for knowledge, innovation, and bigger opportunities. It wasn't just about leaving. It was about going towards something. You have to admire the foresight, the courage to make that call at that age, leaving everything familiar behind for something bigger, but also much less certain.
Yeah, looking at it broadly,
Yeah.
it's more than just moving countries. It feels like a statement of intent. He was actively seeking out an environment, or maybe the environment, where his ambitions could really take flight without limits.
Finding fertile ground.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And it connects to something you often see in people who make a big impact. They're willing to move, to disrupt their own lives, to find or create the conditions they need for their big ideas. It suggests he knew, maybe even back then, that his potential needed a bigger stage. It shows that constant drive to be where the action is, where the boundaries are being pushed.
Okay, so let's try and tie this all together. We have the South African background, that intense early focus on tech, building and selling a game at 12, and then this decisive move to North America. What does it all add up to? How do these specific early things really set the stage for the Elon Musk we know now?
Well, a really strong theme coming from the sources is just how consistent that thread of innovation and ambition is. Right from the start, these small beginnings, as the source material calls them, they weren't just random events, they were the actual building blocks.
Foundational.
Exactly, that early tech fascination. That's the bedrock for everything. Later software, yes, but also rockets, cars, AI, that entrepreneurial spark we saw with the video game, that clearly foreshadows building company after company, disrupting whole industries.
You can draw a straight line.
Pretty much. And that hunger for bigger opportunities, the reason he moved, that's the drive to constantly push limits, find new frontiers, figure out where the most impactful work can actually happen. So it's not just a few interesting stories. It's a coherent picture of a mindset that was always looking forward, always driven to build the future he envisioned.
Right. So there we have it, a deep dive into the genesis of an innovator. We went through his childhood environment in South Africa, that deep early interest in tech, the amazing story of the video game, and that really determined move to North America seeking bigger things. And pulling these insights from the sources, it gives you a different angle, doesn't it? A way to maybe understand the foundations before all the headlines, a shortcut to getting the context.
It really does.
Yeah.
And it's just a powerful reminder, I think, of how much those early experiences can matter. You know, the seeds for huge achievements, they often get planted in unexpected ways, unexpected places, and they're nurtured by that internal drive, that refusal to accept limits. It makes you think that genius isn't usually some sudden lightning strike. It's more often like an early flame that someone just keeps feeding.
That's a great way to put it. And it leaves us and you with something to think about. When you consider these early experiences of Musk and where they led, what about you? What small beginnings in your own life, maybe things you've overlooked, early interests, challenges you faced, bold choices might actually hold clues to your own future path? What patterns can you see in your own story? Something to mull over. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep digging for those interesting bits of knowledge. Until next time, keep that curiosity going.